Did you hear what Saber Interactive CEO Matthew Karch just said about Space Marine 2? While other games bend to industry pressures and push woke narratives, Karch stands firm. He declares that gaming should be about fun, not forced politics. So what does this mean for gamers tired of complex, agenda-driven experiences? Space Marine 2 is making waves not just for its thrilling gameplay, but for its unapologetic embrace of classic gaming values. Karch's bold stance has ignited a fierce backlash from the woke gaming press outlets like PC Gamer and IGN are scrambling to spin his words. But why does his message resonate with so many players? Before we get started, if you're new to the channel and enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Now let's talk about the controversy. The game features male-only playable characters in a landscape where that's practically forbidden. How are journalists framing this choice, and why are some developers trying to silence anyone who dares to celebrate traditional gaming? In this video, we'll dive deep into Karch's comments, explore the reactions from both gamers and critics, and uncover the truth behind the backlash against a game that simply aims to deliver pure, unfiltered fun. Stay tuned as we dissect the implications of Space Marine 2's success and what it reveals about the current state of the gaming industry. Space Marine 2 is making waves in the gaming world, and Saber Interactive CEO Matthew Karch has laid out the reasons behind its success. Unlike many other titles that succumb to trendy narratives, Space Marine 2 remains loyal to its foundational principles. It offers players exhilarating action and engaging gameplay, and it's no surprise that gamers are flocking to it, drawn by its blend of nostalgic mechanics and impressive visuals. Karch's philosophy is clear: gaming should be about enjoyment, not imposing specific messages. The gaming community is relishing a title that encapsulates everything that has been lost in the era of high-budget games that often prioritize ideology over fun. While fans celebrate this return to form, the more progressive factions of the gaming industry are clearly unsettled. Karch is undeterred by industry pressures. He has publicly rejected the narrative trends that dominate many modern games. He argues that they often prioritize moral lessons over the actual enjoyment of gameplay. This perspective resonates with many gamers who feel that they've been voiceless in the current climate. When the team set out to create Space Marine 2, their mission was to revive the straightforward enjoyment that characterized older titles. Karch expressed frustration with games that have become overly complicated and burdened with unnecessary themes. Instead, Saber Interactive focused on delivering a fast-paced, engaging experience reminiscent of beloved classics like Halo. With Space Marine 2, players can expect pure entertainment free from political agendas and forced storylines. However, this unapologetic approach hasn't been well received by parts of the gaming industry that seem more focused on driving narratives than ensuring player enjoyment. The response from gaming outlets like PC Gamer and IGN to Karch's comments has been intense, attempting to twist his words into something controversial. They seem unable to accept that a gaming CEO is standing firm against the prevailing woke agenda. Among the critics is Dell Walker, a developer known for his work on the $200 million flop Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Walker took to Twitter questioning whether Karch's remarks were genuine or just a case of impersonation. His skepticism intensified when Saber Interactive didn't rush to issue a denial. This led him to claim that their silence confirmed his suspicions. This incident reveals a deeper issue at play. It's not merely about Karch's intentions toward his audience, it's about his audacity to speak out at all. The current gaming media seems unable to tolerate games that prioritize enjoyment without the weight of a political agenda. If a game doesn't promote a specific narrative, it's often dismissed as subpar. However, Space Marine 2 is precisely what gamers have been craving, which is why it's flying off the shelves. Now let's delve into the controversy surrounding the game's design decisions. It features only male playable characters, which in today's Western gaming landscape has become almost a cardinal sin. For some in the industry, men are now viewed as the problem. Adding fuel to the fire, the promotional art prominently showcases a straight white male character, something that was once the norm in gaming but is now deemed almost offensive by some critics. The gaming press is quick to label such representations as hate speech, showcasing their tendency to distort reality. Many so-called journalists seem more invested in perpetuating their narratives than in delivering honest commentary. Anyone who dares to challenge these narratives like Karch becomes a target. Take Walker, for instance, another developer who has joined the mob mentality against Saber Interactive CEO. But one has to wonder about his motives. Why would he engage in this kind of attack? After all, he's just another player in the game development arena. Dell Walker's history with Suicide Squad is well known, especially since it has been labeled yet another major disappointment in the Western gaming industry. While Saber Interactive's Space Marine 2 has managed to sell 2 million copies right out of the gate, Walker's team couldn't even come close to matching those numbers during their early access phase on Steam. It's no wonder he feels compelled to attack Saber Interactive. It's a classic case of deflection aimed at concealing his own team's failures. But here's the kicker: Walker himself has acknowledged that many modern Western game developers actively shy away from depicting female characters as beautiful. Yes, you heard that correctly. He once revealed that when he proposed designs for attractive black women, the final concepts often ended up looking like grocery store aunties. His own creative vision was transformed beyond recognition, illustrating a troubling trend within the industry. Consider the implications of that for a moment. After airing his frustrations on Twitter, Walker had to retreat from public discourse. He later admitted that following private conversations with other black developers, he chose to stop discussing black representation in gaming altogether. It seems he was told to sit down, shut up, and stay in line. Does that sentiment resonate? The industry narrative must be defended at all costs, and Walker learned firsthand the consequences of speaking out. This pattern is all too familiar. Developers who refuse to conform to the established narrative often find themselves ostracized by the very industry they strive to be a part of. Their pasts are scrutinized. Even a minor misstep on social media can lead to their careers being effectively ended. They may have impressive portfolios, but if they've said something that doesn't align with the current agenda, they're marked for cancellation. This is the reality we face today. The gaming industry is in decline both in terms of player satisfaction and trust. Gamers have grown wary of what journalists report, as well as the developers who align with those narratives. The rift between the gaming community and the industry continues to widen, with voices like Karch championing a return to pure fun. It's clear that many are yearning for a change. Why is this happening? Because it's clear that what these critics truly support is whatever aligns with the mainstream narrative. It's reminiscent of modern politics. If you identify as liberal, you're embraced and welcomed into the fold. But the moment you express any conservative viewpoints, you're labeled as a threat or accused of inciting violence by those who were just smiling at you moments before. This behavior is not just a difference of opinion, it represents a more sophisticated version of cult-like thinking. At the heart of this movement is Anita Sarkeesian, a figure who has significantly influenced the landscape of video game ethics. Often seen as the instigator or patient zero, Sarkeesian has effectively manipulated the gaming industry to accept her ideologies. She convinced game studios to pay her exorbitant fees for consultations, all in an effort to infuse her feminist agenda into their products. What's especially striking is her own contradictory history with video games. In 2010, she openly stated that she wasn't a fan of video games and felt compelled to study them for her anti-gaming crusade. Yet just 5 years later, she completely flipped her narrative, claiming to have been playing video games since she was 5. This inconsistency raises questions about her true motivations and the impact of her ideologies on the industry. Sarkeesian's influence has led to a generation of games that prioritize ideological narratives over gameplay, pushing developers to focus on social agendas rather than delivering the pure, exhilarating experiences gamers crave. This shift not only alienates a large portion of the gaming community, but also diminishes the quality and enjoyment of games themselves. The gaming industry is at a crossroads, facing a growing backlash from gamers who want to return to the fun and simplicity that characterized the medium before these ideological impositions took hold. I grew up loving Nintendo games, especially classics like Mario and Kirby. It makes you wonder, was Sarkeesian a lifelong gamer, or did she only jump on the bandwagon when it suited her agenda? She truly embodies the definition of a grifter, and sadly she hasn't faded into obscurity. 14 years later, she remains deeply involved in gaming, relentlessly pursuing her mission to undermine everything that made gaming enjoyable. The likes of Ethan Gack, Dell Walker, and other contemporary journalists and developers are simply products of her toxic influence. They have adopted and perpetuated her agenda, warping gaming culture into something almost unrecognizable. Here we are in 2024, striving to create games that resonate with players, yet instead of receiving accolades, developers find themselves under fire. Take Ethan Gack, for example. This Kotaku writer can't resist pushing his narrative. In a recent article, he asked whether the successful Space Marine 2 would eventually fall prey to its own internal politics. Why would he even entertain the idea? Karch's comments weren't a signal of impending changes, they were a clear affirmation of his commitment to keeping gaming fun and simple. So what's the takeaway here? The gaming industry is at a pivotal moment. Gamers are ready for a renaissance, one that re-embraces the fundamentals of gameplay without the burden of modern politics. Karch's comments are a breath of fresh air, reminding us that gaming should remain an escape, not a battleground. Ultimately, it's time to reclaim gaming for what it was, always meant to be a source of enjoyment, creativity, and pure fun. With developers like Karch leading the way, we might finally see a shift back toward that vision. If you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content on the evolving landscape of gaming. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the direction the industry is heading in?